All right.
Chicago has a strange, metaphysical elegance of death about it. She is a novelty, for she is never the Chicago you saw when you passed through the last time. This quote illustrates the duality of Gilded Age Chicago, where life was often amazing for the rich, but miserable for the poor. And it shows how good and evil found balance in between those two things. Our book, Devil in the White City, partly follows the life of Daniel Burnham, a prominent Chicago architect at the time of the World's Fair. Burnham and his partner John Root are tasked with building a World's Fair to top the Paris Exposition Universelle held 15 years earlier. The catch, they have only 2 years to complete the project, but Chicago and the rest of the nation is depending on them to perfect. Burnham faces trials and tribulations, including the death of his partner Root, as he struggles to complete the lavish fair. Burnham does not know that the architectural wonder he is striving to create, the so-called White City, provides the perfect killing grounds for serial killer H.H. Holmes.
The novel follows both the story of Daniel Burnham and of H.H. Holmes, a serial killer who is the antagonist of the novel. A psychopathic doctor, Holmes comes from New Hampshire to Chicago a few years before the construction of the World's Fair and was intrigued by the city's seeming capacity for evil. He used the White City as a distraction from his actions as he built his murder castle to prey on his victims. He used his cunning, charm, and good looks to lure women attracted by the fair into his traps. He is only caught a number of years after the fair, when Holmes later travels to Philadelphia and is busted for an insurance fraud scheme. Detective Frank Geyer suspects Holmes of killing 3 of his co-workers' children, along with many more crimes, and fully investigates into Holmes' past. It is only then that the truth of Holmes' past crimes is revealed, which may be up to 200 murders.
In addition to Holmes' murder, a man named Patrick Eugene Pendergast assassinated the mayor. Pendergast is a minor character, however, we see an uprising inside of him similar to Holmes. He thought that he would gain recognition from Mayor Harrison because of his lobbying in support of Harrison's campaign. Yet when Harrison is elected, he receives nothing. He is left waiting and grows angry, and his anger becomes insanity, and he murders Mayor Harrison. These 3 characters all illustrate the theme of the detrimentalness of being power hungry.
Okay, so for one significant passage, we have Beneath the gore and smoke and loam, this book is about the evanescence of life, and why some men choose to fill their brief allotment of time engaging the impossible, others in the manufacture of sorrow. In the end, it is a story of ineluctable conflict between good and evil, daylight and darkness, the white city and the black. So this passage is significant as it embodies the major themes of the novel. It comes in the introduction, and the author sets up the major symbols of good, daylight, and the white city versus evil, darkness, and the blackness of Chicago that will be presented in the novel. The novel portrays this theme by telling both Burnham and Holmes' stories together. Though each one can be told on its own by putting them together, each is shown in different contexts. The reader can see both the good of the white city, but at the same time sees the filth and evil of Chicago. This draws comparisons to The Great Gatsby, as the wealth and lavish lifestyles of both the West and East Egg are fueled by the wasteland of the Valley of Ashes. Nothing so beautiful and good can be sustained without producing some evil as well. Thus, the purity of the White City must be countered with some evil. Burnham's story must be accompanied by Holmes.
Next, how is our book great literature? For the sake of time, we will summarize our criteria and explain how our book fits them. First, we said, a book is great if it addresses important topics or issues in society. Our novel does not address modern social issues. However, it does provide an important account of American history and a social commentary on good and evil. In writing Devil in the White City, Erik Larson was able to present an accurate image of the American Golden Age, showing the lives of the poor, the rich, and the pervading filth of the time. Next, a great novel should have a unique writing style that creates personality and opinion within the text. The author does employ a unique writing style in Devil in the White City, developing suspense throughout the novel. Larson matches meticulous research with 2 slowly developing plots and ends all his chapters in an ominous, suspenseful way. Using this mysterious style, Larson draws readers in and creates personality and opinion within his text.
The novel contains literary devices. This is important because it extends the novel by activating other senses and intriguing the reader. We thought that our novel does contain literary devices cleverly integrated into the novel. Most often, the novel uses vivid imagery in order to transport the reader back into the time period that the book is describing. Additionally, the novel utilizes simile and metaphor to build an accurate picture within the reader's mind of the grandness of the World's Fair. If research is considered a literary device, then Larson excels in this. He integrates quotes from the leading figures at the time of the novel in order to show the original opinions and often provide humor into the book. A book should also bring a new meaning to the surface for the reader and educate them. We thought that Larson's novel is very educational, absolutely fulfills this criteria. Through the use of parallel narratives, Larson illustrates the similarities between good and evil. Larson shows how Burnham and Holmes desire more power and control at times. However, he illustrates the important differences between Burnham and Holmes to show how evil still differs from goodness and its disregard for compassion and empathy.
Lastly, a great book should bring the reader on a journey and leave them pondering about the novel even after they're finished reading. And the novel certainly does this, as Larson brings the reader on an exciting journey through different perspectives and timelines. The underlying motive of this dual story demonstrates the similarities between Holmes and Burnham, the commonality between the White City and the Dark. The novel definitely sets the reader up to take this mentality from the story and apply it to their own lives and question their own perspectives of good and evil and the fine line in between.
Thank you for watching.